think wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd?
Me?
No questions?
Why would you think that I would say Floyd?
That there's not another guy in the world that can beat you right now. That's Mayweather level. Head to head at their welterweight primes, Bud versus Floyd. I feel like a lot of us might actually be picking Bud right now. But what he achieved, I cannot put him above Mayweather or Pacquiao because he got these opportunities so late.
This is the problem with Bud's career, right? It bloomed kind of late.
Bud's been the best man for 12 years, but no one gave him credit because he didn't go tell you he was the best man. He didn't market that. He just went out and fought and beat people and knocked people out. So he had to move up and take the bigger fight.
Terence Crawford confidently responded to Floyd Mayweather's claim, saying he would have beaten Mayweather even in his prime. He said his legacy is built on facing every challenge and that no one can accuse him of avoiding tough opponents. Crawford also made it clear he would have gladly fought Mayweather if the opportunity had come.
When you start going like this, then that's when Floyd started taking over.
What do you want your legacy to be like when your career is all said and done? What do you want people to remember you for?
Oh man, everybody's asking me the question. I always be like, man, it's whatever it's their opinion. Everybody gonna have a different opinion of Terence Crawford, you know. But one thing they can't say is that I ducked anyone. You know, I fought everyone that was available to fight.
Dan Raphael believes Terence Crawford has already done everything needed to secure his legacy in boxing. He said Crawford has won world titles, unified divisions, and consistently defeated elite opponents without showing any real weaknesses. Raphael feels Crawford no longer has to prove himself, as his achievements already speak for themselves. In his view, taking more risky fights would do little to improve Crawford's place in history, since his dominant career has already earned him recognition as one of the sport's greatest fighters.
What does Terence Crawford do now? Like, what's the next thing that he does? Because you look around and go, is the only way that he really gets that, maybe that ultimate chance if he goes up again? And do you say, you know, what do you do?
I don't quite. Yeah, I mean, you know, he was asked those questions at the press conference. He made two things clear. One, he's not going back to 154, and I say that because some people suggested about possibly pursuing a fight with Ennis, who has his debut in the weight class coming up.
Yeah.
That's probably unlikely. He's not going to go back down in weight. And I mean, no disrespect to Ennis, but Ennis is a guy that's known within the diehards of boxing. He's not in any way known beyond the boundaries of the hardcore boxing fan. So yeah. I don't know if that makes sense for a lot of different reasons for him. Not to say I wouldn't, as a boxing fan, enjoy watching the fight. So, yeah. But I don't think he's going back to 154. He was asked about like a Benavides at 175, and he acknowledged like that guy's really big. I mean, that's maybe a bridge too far. He already went up to two weight classes to fight Canelo at 68. So it feels to me like he can either stay at 168 and defend this championship and look to the same types of names that were being thrown around as the types of guys that would have been in the mix for Canelo had he won the fight. And you know, he's going to have mandatories. Obviously, that's the first thing they'll have to look at. I mean, I don't know if he's not going to necessarily keep the belts if he's forced into a mandatory. He doesn't need the belts at this point, but there might be something appealing to him. You know, for example, you know, and Billy had a great fight on the undercard, although he's been ordered to fight a rematch in that fight. Mm-hmm. That was, you know, like fight of the year against Lester Martinez, candidate for fight.
Terence Crawford's dominant win over Canelo Alvarez has sparked a heated debate, with fans and analysts comparing it to Floyd Mayweather's victory over Canelo years ago. Many believe Crawford's performance was even more impressive because he defeated a far more experienced version of the Mexican star. However, Luke Thomas urged fans to look at the bigger picture. He explained that Mayweather became a superstar much earlier and faced elite competition at a younger age, while Crawford's rise was delayed by limited promotion and recognition. Thomas believes Crawford's win was exceptional, but says it should not automatically place him ahead of Mayweather in the all-time rankings because the timing and paths of their careers were very different.
It was a masterclass. One guy with outrageous skill offensively and defensively, simply making another very good fighter look lesser than. This was the other part. The people who watch MMA and then try to watch boxing through an MMA lens, I don't know what to tell you. You're actually missing the point. The kind of specific details and the depth of the technical ability far surpasses matches, even what you can get at the highest level of MMA, because they don't have that level of skill. There is no equivalent in MMA to Bud Crawford, because there cannot be. Bud is the most talented boxer I've seen since Mayweather.
I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
To be fair to Floyd, he obviously had hand problems in his whole welterweight run, and it's why he took that long stretch off in 2007, 2008, 2009 area, and Floyd's brilliance to be able to be just as great in some ways at that age. We're not here trying to dunk on Floyd. When you get a victory like this, right now, straight up, Luke, you could say that there's not a welterweight, junior middleweight, or maybe even super middleweight. When you could say over like a 4-division stretch, Bud, cut down to any of these weights, that there's not another guy in the world that can beat you right now, that's Mayweather level. Head to head at their welterweight primes, Bud versus Floyd, I feel like a lot of us might actually be picking Bud right now. But what he achieved, I cannot put him above Mayweather or Pacquiao because he got these opportunities so late.
That's the problem with Bud's career, right? It bloomed kind of late. I find Bud to be as defensively sound as I've ever seen a fighter. He can find you. There's nowhere to hide with him.
Like Floyd, he has such control over the terms in there. It's just insane.
Buddy McGirt strongly praised Terence Crawford after his dominant victory over Canelo Alvarez, calling it one of the most complete performances of his career. He said Crawford controlled the fight from the opening bell, never allowing Canelo to set the pace or use his usual aggressive style. McGirt believes the win was so convincing that there is no reason for a rematch because the difference in skill and execution was clear for everyone to see. He also said Crawford has finally earned the defining victory he had been chasing for years by beating a fighter of Canelo's level. In McGirt's view, this win fully confirms Crawford's greatness, secures his legacy, and proves he belongs among the greatest boxers in history, with nothing left for him to prove.
Yes.
Like, what fight were they watching?
Right.
I mean, it's. I don't know, man. I don't know what some of these guys be doing in this game, man. Some people, in situations like that, they should ask them, listen, just turn in your license, bro. Because there's no way in hell the fight was that close.
Right.
I mean, come on, man. It's just, it's not fair. It's not fair. You get a guy like Terence got here and dominate from beginning to end, and then you find out he needed the last 2 rounds to win. That's scary, man.
It is. And you see how you just mentioned scary. Now, a lot of people are saying, buddy, that type of beating, he's not going to want a rematch. But looking at those scorecards and knowing that, hey, you wasn't too far behind, even though, he did mention that, he's better than Mayweather. But, I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you feel like that was such a beating that Canelo wouldn't want a rematch?
No, I think that, in all honesty, personally, I think that Canelo's at that stage in his career right now, that it's a rematch he don't need. He don't need it. You know what I mean? What we saw that night, that's the stage Canelo's at right now. He's fought everybody, he did everything, but, he passed the torch to the right guy. He passed the torch to the right guy. He lost it to Terence fair and square, and he passed the torch. So if you're gonna have another fight, cool, but you don't need to. He has nothing to prove. He fought Terence and nobody else would.
When comparing Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather, many analysts believe the biggest difference is Floyd's mental advantage inside the ring. They agree that Crawford is an elite fighter with incredible skills, able to switch stances, adjust during fights, and outclass opponents with ease. However, they argue that Mayweather added another level by controlling his opponents psychologically. Floyd often made rivals lose confidence, abandon their strategies, and make mistakes before and during the fight. According to many boxing historians, this ability to dominate both mentally and physically is what gives Mayweather the edge. They believe Crawford has done enough to be mentioned alongside Floyd, but Mayweather's unmatched ring IQ, calmness under pressure, and psychological control continue to set him apart in the all-time rankings.
Hagler, Hearns. I've seen Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. I've seen all of those things, and those fights were wars. Floyd Mayweather is the best boxer I've ever seen. He's the most skilled boxer I've ever seen. Bud, and this is just my opinion, is the baddest man I've seen wear boxing gloves. And Here's why I say that.
RC.
Here's why I say that. Bud is extremely skilled, right? Yet not as skilled as Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather made people look foolish, right? And so if I had to say who's the greatest I've seen, and Bud said it right, the best of an era and the best of an era, it's Floyd. But when I watched Bud against Canelo, there was this extreme skill on display, and there was a level of crazy that's different. There was a level of, and Floyd's extremely tough. Go back to Shane Mosley and the 2 punches he landed early in the fight and the way that he embarrassed him. I'm not saying that Floyd's not tough, Floyd's not a bad man, but there was domination inside that ring we saw this weekend. And there's no fear in him in the way that he's attacked, gaining notoriety. Bud's been the baddest man for 12 years. But no one gave him credit because he didn't go tell you he was the baddest man. He didn't market that. He just went out and fought and beat people and knocked people out. So he had to move up and take the bigger fights and the better fights, and he was aerospace.
For more than a decade, Terence Crawford has quietly proven himself as one of boxing's best, but his humble personality and lack of flashy self-promotion kept him from getting the attention many felt he deserved. Instead of creating headlines outside the ring, Crawford let his performances do the talking, earning respect from serious boxing fans while missing out on wider mainstream recognition. It wasn't until his huge victories over Errol Spence Jr. and Canelo Alvarez that the general public truly began to appreciate his greatness. Even so, some critics believe this recognition has come later than it should have, as Crawford is now in the later stages of his career. While he can still add to his impressive achievements, many wonder how much bigger his legacy could have become if he had received the same spotlight much earlier in his journey.
How great he was. Canelo cemented him on what is the two-headed monster that marks the greatest of the 2000s. Floyd Mayweather is on that, and Bud Crawford is right next to him. I don't think we have to pick on who's better. I think they both dominated their eras.
Floyd Mayweather has often been criticized for rarely giving full credit to other boxing greats, with some pointing out that he has even resisted placing Muhammad Ali above himself in all-time rankings. Now, after Terence Crawford's dominant win over Canelo Alvarez, those discussions have returned. Crawford's performance has led many fans to compare his legacy with Mayweather's, raising questions about how Floyd views another fighter entering the same all-time conversation. Critics believe Mayweather is very protective of his legacy and prefers to remain the standard by which all great fighters are judged. Because of that, some feel Crawford's growing success has created tension, with the perception that Floyd is uncomfortable sharing the spotlight as one of boxing's greatest champions.
Puts him on par with Floyd Mayweather Jr., and you know Floyd Mayweather Jr. doesn't like that. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is one of the biggest egos in the sport, so much so that he could not find a way to give Muhammad Ali credit as being a top 5 fighter and claimed that Roberto Duran sits above Muhammad Ali, right? Why? Because Floyd wants to be better than Muhammad Ali. He completely redid his image when he became Money Mayweather to pretty much copy from calling himself the GOAT, calling himself TBE, right? Whole thing. Very disrespectful of Muhammad Ali when he was coming up, when after Floyd Mayweather Jr. wound up being at the top of the sport. So now that Terence Crawford has firmly placed himself at the top of boxing, and not just as the pound for pound fighter right now, many people are saying, hey, shouldn't he be considered one of the greatest fighters of all time? Isn't this a realistic conversation we can have? So what does that do? That butts Terence Crawford right up against Floyd Mayweather. So when Floyd was asked a series of questions, right? Because Floyd has a fight coming up. I do believe it maybe in January. I think it may be in January or early 2026, I believe is the time frame, where Floyd Mayweather Jr. is going to be fighting Mike Tyson I believe this is going to be an exhibition.
Sean Porter revealed that Terence Crawford told him the biggest motivation throughout his career was proving his critics wrong. Crawford said many people doubted he could compete with the very best and questioned whether he belonged at the highest level of boxing. Instead of avoiding those expectations, he embraced the challenge and used the criticism as fuel to push himself harder. His victories over Errol Spence Jr. and Canelo Alvarez were not only defining moments in his career, but also personal achievements that answered years of doubt and finally proved he belonged among boxing's greatest champions.
Get close to him when you want to, not when he wants you to. And you know what I mean? That's how it was.
I know, I'm sorry. I know this is bad production, but we don't need you to turn that phone to the side. I know I'm thinking about Happy right now. I'm like, he know better. That's better. That's better. Go ahead, Ant. Go ahead.
Hey, but you know how, man, me and Sean, we know you personally. I had people telling me, nah, man, this is just a money grab. He just went up there for the money. I said, man, if you know this dude, but you mentally, bro, I put you in the same category as Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I'm like, he wants to be great. Y'all want the money, but I want to be great. Where that come from, man?
It's just me, you know what I mean? Like, I think all the greats is just born with that competitiveness, you know? And like I said, you know, a lot of people, they didn't want me to accomplish the feat over Canelo. It wasn't that it wasn't possible. They didn't want me to be the one to do it because I was the one that they was blackballing for years. I was the one that they said, you know, wasn't gonna make it to this table. I was the one that they said couldn't sell. I was the one that they said, you know, made bad business decisions. So of course they don't want me to be the one to make it to the top and then conquer.
Sean Porter said Terence Crawford's greatest strength is his fearless mindset and willingness to face every challenge head-on. Instead of taking easier fights, Crawford consistently chose the toughest opponents to prove he belonged at the highest level of boxing. Porter believes that attitude has played a major role in building Crawford's legacy, showing that his success is not only the result of his incredible talent, but also of his determination, resilience, and desire to compete against the very best. That mentality, according to Porter, is what has earned Crawford a place among boxing's all-time greats.
All odds, because now this is slap in the face to every person that ever wrote a bad article about me, about anything.
Probably the best fit of all.
And a lot of people get mad at me because I said, when it comes from pound for pound that I ever seen it in my lifetime, ever, I got Floyd, then I got you. They're like, well, what about blah, blah, blah? I said, this is who I seen. I seen Bud. I seen Floyd. I can't talk about what happened in the 20s and the 40s. I can talk about what I seen now. Do you feel like, Bud, you stamped your legacy and we're going to forever say, well, you could have beat this person, you could beat that person? You feel like you did it?
Of course. It's definitely going to be, it's already written in the history books. Yeah. Like, before, everybody was already comparing me and saying things like that, but hold on. Yeah.
I know. Good job.
Okay. But now, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so now he proving himself with a bigger, stronger guy in his weight division that he was undefeated in, that he was undisputed in, you know? So those things like that, you know, you can't ignore.
Hey man, how do you allow people not to put their limitations on you? Because when I gave motivation last week, I told them about like how you motivated me to start my own company. And come out, I remember you been in my living in my kitchen, motivated me to start my own company. How do you allow no one else to put their limitations on you?
That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to stay tuned for more boxing updates. We'll be back soon with another exciting video. Until next time.